Let's roll. Here we go. Not conferences, different leagues.
We did it, everyone. We actually did it. Somehow, some way, through trials, tribulations, and a long-ass offseason where teams were still losing, we have finally crossed the final week of preseason, and now it's time for real college football. From this point onward, your favorite group of college players will have to back up the manifestation of noise you produce in the offseason. It's where inflated over expectations instantly meet reality, and more often than not, it results in a higher sale of liquor. While many of the contestants of this season have yet to meet the gridiron, we get the appetizer before the main course in the form of Week 0. Most of these games may be glorified scrimmages that have little meaning in the grand scheme of the nation's rankings, but it's football all the same and has infinitely more worth than anything the NFL presents us with in August. Before we begin with our first real game of the 2025 season, I present to you, my loyal masochistic viewers, my preseason top 25. I'm sure that there are no disagreements on this at all, and nobody will take to the comments with electric keyboards about how I've never seen a game. I honestly doubt it though, as you've all spent a ludicrous amount of time laughing at Dan Mullen or crying about Tank Conference sinking even further down under than Atlantis. Chances are though, most of the people my age are ready to shotgun a Bud Light at any given notice and get drunk by 10 a.m. Or you're a Vanderbilt fan. With all that being said, prepare your tailgate to protect your feelings because it's time for another version of college football chaos. It was just 1 year ago on this turf where the Florida State Tank Knolls began their 2-10 doo-doo expenditure by losing to the North Avenue Nerds on a game-winning field goal. Now here we are in 2025 with two new contenders from the Chaos Conference known as the Big 12. In fact, both contenders here are programs with the prestige equal in college football history to Miami's ACC titles. Nothing. Ranked in the preseason with hopes and aspirations of a Big 12 title, the current Pop-Tart champions in Iowa State and the former Pop-Tart champions of Kansas State give us the preamble to another college football season. Normally, there's a name for this annual high-stakes rivalry, but they put their own twist on it this year.
And Dylan Edwards, very dangerous with the ball in his hands, has to back kick and it's recovered. Pitch to Sala, ball on the ground. Third down and 9, gets leveled and fumbles the ball. Joe Jackson with room downhill, and he fumbles the ball, and it's recovered by Iowa State.
Fumblegeddon. In the process of returning to the competition, both of these teams forgot how to catch or maneuver in any capacity with the football. ESPN worked real hard for this clean new score bug, and this is the football it's presented with. The entire first half was like watching two immovable objects run in circles and pass out. Dirty football akin to the field they played on. Both Rocco Purdy and Avery Johnson were struggling to adapt to their new offensive lines. The Cyclones could only hope and pray the sea gets parted for Abu Sama or Chris Hansen. Kansas State had a playmaker in the backfield that literally got spawn camped the moment he arrived. Without Edwards there, the offense became a consistent buffet for Dominique Orange to feast upon. The first half was such a drag that it brainwashed others into thinking this was a product of offense Iowa could contend with. But if you thought muff punts and fumbles were the only way the Wildcats could fuck it up, I introduce you to 4th and Kleeman.
Obviously you have the weather, the chewed up field, you can barely see the chalk marks. Johnson directing traffic on the move, and the pass is incomplete.
Yeah, sure, let's go for it on 4th and 8 in field goal range in a tie ball game. Why? Because we're stupid. Thankfully, through some explosive drives and a newly garnished ability of holding on to the damn ball, both teams finally started to get some momentum on their side. Just when you think one side had the ledge, the other one would jump right over them. It's just as this rivalry and the kickoff of the season should be. 9 minutes left in this ballgame and things were still looking to go either way. Two elite defenses trying to hold on for dear life against the clutch ball of Avery Johnson and Rocco Purdy. The only thing that could ruin this climactic finish would be a coaching error akin to James Franklin against top 5 teams. Like going for it at your own 30. Wait, what the fuck?
He will keep it, and it is close. He got drilled. It's a turnover on downs, and Iowa State takes over at the K-State 30.
You've got to be shitting out of my own ass. 8.5 minutes left with all 3 timeouts, 17 points let up all game, and you go for it on 4th down at your own 30? Only a floating aneurysm would call something like that. Forget the play call by Matt Wells or the shitty spot by ref ball. When you do something this smooth brain, you deserve to fall like this. This in turn set up for the eventual defensive collapse by the Kansas State defense and 3 knees at the 1-yard line. Thank you, Kleeman, for ruining an incredible game by coaching like it's EA college football. Did you too have a giant burrito in your ass, or were you just coaching like it? Even if Iowa State won this classic, you luckily don't get to fly home empty-handed. For coaching malpractice equating to Mario Cristobal that inevitably lost you this game, I present to Coach Kleeman the honors of Clown of the Week. Get back to Manhattan and think about this decision that cost all kinds of Kansas State family infighting. Literally. Unironically, this is one of Matt Campbell's best wins of his career. Not only is this his 100th career win, but it's also a statement to the rest of the Big 12. These are the Cyclones at their absolute peak. An EF5 of epic proportions that grew far stronger after today. Take to the Irish pubs in glory and show them that Notre Dame isn't the only team they have to root for. Maybe you could spare them a bit of that 1,800 pounds of Gatorade. I can't even lie about it. This is extremely impressive. Programs are usually killed off over the course of many seasons of unwatchable football. Dan Development Mullen somehow killed UNLV in 1 quarter. Once a contender from the Mountain West, somehow made to look like an FCS squad. I know it's the first game of the year and a game they won by extension, but what the hell was this performance? I'll tell you what it was. Development. Specifically, none of it was here. 8 months later, and looky there, Alex Orji still can't throw the football. Through the quarterback hokey pokey, we figured out that he and Anthony Calendria by extension were both just as productive and a liability as they were in the Power 4. It's 2 copies of Jalen Milroe without the Alabama hype. Thankfully, they have Jaden Thomas, who shredded the potato line with 150 yards on the ground. If not for him, they'd have nothing. Corey Dennis's offense has shown lights of excitement among the excrement of bad quarterback play, but said excrement smells like rainbows and candy canes when it compares to the volcanic Taco Bell Chipotle brown splatter that you call a defense. Jordan Cook incinerated their secondary and gave them light years to throw the ball. It was such a poverty defense that they couldn't even broadcast it on television. You had to find it on third-party prawn sites or casinos surrounded by degenerate gamblers who I'm sure betted on this game and are definitely regretting it. Nobody else would dare put themselves through the torture of watching a thought-to-be G5 playoff contender get torched by French fries! 555 yards of offense and 30 first downs given up, and it was only thanks to the red zone IBS by Idaho State that they were able to survive. We could write off this as the same thing that happened to Oregon last season, as the alternative is acknowledging that Florida fans are right. But if this is a continuing trend for the Rebels, it's gonna be a very long season. Dan's wife is only allowed to kiss the players, not the fans. Looks like the day gets even worse for the Kansas State fans, as just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, the Jayhawks offense has finally returned. Yes, I know you guys own them every time you meet on the field, but I also know any week where they win and you don't is a hellish place to be. After burning down the Big 12 on their way out last season, many wondered if Lance Leopold was going to get his swagger back entering the 2025 season. We wonder no more, as everything that could have gone right for the Jayhawks did on this day. The nearly $500 million stadium renovations and a sold-out crowd weren't the only upgrades they witnessed. Coming back from what will likely be his final flight, Jayhawk mastermind Jalen Daniels executed his offense very well as the starting quarterback. Almost perfect even. He threw well, he ran well, LaShawn Williams has found holes again, and the defense that previously let Big 12 teams do whatever they wanted has returned to near full capacity. The new coordinators Kansas hired are actually doing their jobs too. This doesn't just feel like a new team, it feels like a new program. One that actually wants to win football games and not leave all their school revenue to the balls of baskets. While E.J. Warner did his best to try and contend with them, it wasn't enough to do much of anything. The Jayhawks have a home field advantage now and they fully intend on using it. Matt Entz will certainly have his work cut out for him in the future, but only if he intends on sticking around. Really, the only major flaw with the team has been the constant slap to the face they take from ref ball. It's a fundamental issue that can be stopped through consistent practice. As long as Daniels can actually stay healthy, there's quite a major lot of potential for this program in 2025. Totally not biased intuition there. Yeah, look man, when Tennessee inevitably shits the bed, I'm going to need another team to ride off of, and who else but the Get the kid! Nonetheless, keep rocking and chalking, and maybe this year you can actually knock over your rival. Don't be fooled by the lack of Power 4-ness going on here. This is a brawl between two big-time contenders the Conference USA has to offer, one of which will likely play in the conference title game. This was bound to happen between these two high-flying offenses, but what we got for this matchup was another classic shootout hidden behind UNLV shitting themselves. Tyson Hilton has done a great job of keeping the program in check due to losses of players and coordinators. He is one guy you can always count on to bring a roster capable of making noise in the conference. That showed itself again in the form of 500 yards of total offense against the Sam Houston defense, or lack thereof. Truly written like a Tom Cruise movie. While Hunter Watson did his damnedest to keep up with the Maverick, his offense was shut down by the air raid attack. Even with the points off of turnovers, it was never enough to shut down the offense the Hilltoppers produced. Maybe the bag of money they got per turnover will be enough to light a fire under the Bearcats defense's ass. Time will tell. Helton was desperate to revive said offense following the ass blasting from Jacksonville State last season, so this result will do well to satisfy the opinions on it. For what it is, you were playing Phil Longo in his head coaching debut, which was the same guy who turned Wisconsin's offense into a block of cheese not even a rat would want to eat. So while aspirations may be high for the future, tread carefully. You're still a part of the Conference USA and they can fall off a cliff at any given time. I always had a bad feeling about this one. Vegas did too. Stanford, despite being a Power 4 school, came into this game as an underdog to Hawaii. That alone is enough to make the skin crawl of any fan of the trees. But the worst news came when they realized something far, far worse was ahead. They actually had to play football. The Troy Taylor epidemic from the previous season was only the beginning of your suffering. You really thought there wasn't a way to lose this game? Incarnate Words football diarrhea from today proved that you are never safe in any game you play. The football gods certainly have it out for you this time, and you've now become aware of it. Hawaii's offense was nothing short of doing the bare minimum to keep themselves in the game, as they were playing a limping quarterback coming off of an injury. Stanford's offense was nothing at all. They were only relying on the Rainbow Warriors shooting themselves in the foot and trying to capitalize on it. I still think Andrew Luck is using this as a buffer year for when he eventually takes over as the head coach, but it's football like this that has me second guessing that a bit. This trend continued all the way to the final drive. With only a minute left, the ball game is tied at 20 apiece. Would you be surprised if I told you Frank Reich didn't use any of his timeouts throughout the second half and chose to leave it to the defense to save the day? Nope. And how surprised would you be if I told you that this inevitably led to an embarrassing loss for the Trees? Well, I'll tell you this much. Go outside, touch some water, and it'll still be wet.
Snap, kick is up, and good! And Hawaii has done it!
And this isn't just a normal walk-off field goal. This is a walk-off field goal from a kicker who learned how to kick on YouTube. You're now 0-1 versus YouTube, and you clicking on this video has made you 0-2. You won't be starving for any more humility, as this was by far the easiest game on your schedule. The only way you win a game now is by pulling off a world-class upset. We're so far from the Christian McCaffrey days you couldn't even see it with an x-ray. We're treading away from the 3-win days now even. Everything is abysmal and the program is on death row. The only reason you won't even win Clown of the Week is because you're not even relevant enough to get it. The only way you get back to relevance at this point would be to fulfill the Kent State prophecy and go 0-12. You picked up a good one, ACC. You really did. Despite being on the opposite side of the conference, they certainly well fit it. Even if this all turns out to be true, congratulations to Hawaii for a win they'll most certainly look back on, even if they're still doormats of the Mountain West. That'll do it for our first edition of College Football Chaos, at least the 2025 edition. However, before we end this and get ourselves ready for the true starts of the season, we have to say a quick goodbye to the postseason hopes of a few who unfortunately won't make it past November. For the first time since Idaho back in 2014, we have a team and a program overall so stupid that they don't even reach the academic level to play past the regular season. To be fair, it's not like they had any aspirations to go past 4 wins. If Joe Moorhead actually manages to get them past this made-up threshold, they can hang their heads up high and then maybe get to the books. Get out! This program has seen some major success in the FCS level, multiple conference and playoff titles that have given him enough relevance to receive an invitation to the Conference USA. Unfortunately, you've been eliminated from postseason contention due to existing. As part of the rulebooks, any team that's moving up an athletic division is required to sit out for the postseason, so no matter how well you'll do in conference play, they won't make it any further than the regular season. You'd think they treat the university that made Joe Flacco with some respect. Get out! Missouri State unfortunately suffers the same fate as their new conference brethren, as while their prestige has carried them to the big leagues, they can't participate in a bowl game. The main goal for them in Delaware is to compete in the conference and nothing more. If they manage to pull that off, it'll be a successful year. But that's all you're allowed to do. You're not James Madison. Get out. Get out!
Barfield flips it back, and that one blows up. Clay Patterson had it played perfectly.
Clay Patterson, Aura Farmer right now.
And a flag is down. Patterson celebrating at midfield.